Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're taking a long overdue look at Kklak, the Doctor Who art of Chris Achilleos. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Well, here we are at long last. Now, this book actually was published a couple of years ago originally. It came out in a 1,000 copy limited edition. I believe it was a hardback, and I tried everything I could to get hold of a copy, but it was just like an instant sellout. And sadly, I was never able to grab one or even review it at the time. And that sort of coincided with Chris Achilleos himself actually passing away very, very sadly. So I'm delighted to say that the book is now in print and you can buy it from all the usual sorts of outlets. I picked mine up last week at the MCM Comic Con from Forbidden Planet. You can also buy it from Amazon as well, and I'll put the links to those as well as to the publisher's website in the description down below. The publisher incidentally is Candy Jar, and this is a really, really large format, handsome tome. And if you're a fan of the Target books, the Doctor Who Target books, or just Chris Achilleos' art in general, you're going to really, really love this. Now, predominantly, I've always known Chris Achilleos for his Doctor Who work, but he has also done fantasy stuff as well, and I do have a bit of that. I've got some of his British Gore paperback jackets, and I've got them in proof cover, and those are shown on a separate sort of Gore video on the channel, and I will put a little link to that in the end credits. So here we are then. So finally getting to have a little look through, and there he is there with Peter Capaldi. I was never lucky enough to get to meet Chris Achilleos. I have met his wife since, but yeah, I never actually got to meet him. I've got some stuff signed by him, which we'll see in a minute, but I never actually got to meet him at any of the shows, which was can't believe I quite managed to not see him, because there's been so many Doctor Who shows over the years. But basically the book is laid out with all his Doctor Who artwork in chronological order, which I believe is definitely the best way to do it. There he is with Terrance Dicks there, and up there, and I'll bring this up in a minute, there's a Forbidden Planet signing. So when the books were re-released by the BBC, a lot of them had Chris Achilleos covers, and he did attend the signing in Forbidden Planet in 2012. Which was just after those had been published. Now there's like 4 of his art books there, and I have got a couple of those. As I said, we're focusing on the Doctor Who today rather than all his work in general. And it did encompass all sorts of things. It got used on the audio books, there on that set of stamps, first day covers. Some of it was released as prints. But I think he's always best remembered for his book jackets, and here we are. So probably his most iconic one. And I always think of Chris Achilleos as the master Dalek artist, and nobody quite drew Daleks like him. And the books we're going to see today are the first printings of these, not the reprints, but then we have also got the 2012 re-releases where they take the original artwork and it's slightly modified, but it's just the way he does the Daleks. They're just amazing. This one did get re-released. This is one of the ones that was re-released, and in a lot of cases with the re-releases, all they really did was shrink the artwork down a little bit, and sometimes they would take away a little bit of the funky backdrop. This one's got the introduction by Neil Gaiman, and some of these, like this one here, for example, is signed by Carol Emford and Chris Achilleos there. He's got that very distinctive signature with the A in a circle there. Of course, his name was actually Christos Achilleos rather than Chris, but he's always known as Chris in Doctor Who circles. So here's the next one, and the way the book does it, as it's chronological, but it does also show when the books were originally published. So the first 3, of course, all came out on the 2nd of May 1973. If it's been re-released, so there's the BBC re-release, there's the audiobook CD adaptation, and then if there's a foreign edition, like in this case there was a Dutch one, but sometimes there's Turkish editions and things like that, they've reprinted the foreign edition as well, where the original artwork has been used. But once again, his style was so distinctive, wasn't it? It was like the tiny little dots to make up the picture, something that was emulated a lot in the Doctor Who fanzines of the 80s, 70s and 80s. I remember lots of fans trying to emulate Christos's style. Absolutely beautiful, but I would imagine very, very difficult to do. Here's Doctor Who and the Crusaders. Once again, superb likenesses of the Doctors, particularly these early ones. I think anything he did up to like in the 1970s, early 1980s is fantastic. I don't think he quite grasped the later Doctors quite as well, but I guess he perhaps wasn't drawing them so regularly. But there's the re-release of it. This has got an introduction by Charlie Higson on that one. That one's also got his signature in. Then we've got the Auton Invasions. This is the first time we see the Brigadier and, of course, Jon Pertwee. Fantastic. The Nestine there, I mean, it's just terrific, that jacket, isn't it? Absolutely terrific. There's the re-release. It's very, very similar. Introduction by Russell T Davies. But it's lovely to see these, and these are, as you can see in the book, they are bigger than the actual original book jackets, which is nice to see. So you do to see them. Oh, blimey, look at this. This has got Carol Ann Ford. Well, she wasn't in, was she? Terence Dix, well, he was the author. Fraser Hines is Jamie and Chris Achilleos. I think they were all the people who were actually at the signing, from what I recall. That Forbidden Planet, so they like to get a line-up, don't they? Now, Doctor Who and the Cave Monsters, well, this was the very first one I ever read, and I have very fond, nostalgic memories for this one. And this is great because it's got, obviously, Pertwee in the foreground. It's got the Silurian, the T-Rex in the background there. Yeah, this one I remember so well. The little illustrations inside, they weren't done by Chris, sadly, but they just added to it, didn't they? God. Full of nostalgia, that particular one, I can tell you, and it did get re-released as well. Obviously they dropped the little subheading there, but it's basically the same cover, just shrunk down a little bit. Maybe they've increased the vibrancy of some of the colours, but very, very nice, that. Now, Dare the Daleks. I think, you know, I did watch this one fairly recently, and I thought it was, you know, a little bit overrated. I remember when it got re-released, I think it came out edited, didn't it, on a video? I think it was like a 50-minute video, or was it a laser disc? Oh, I can't remember now. No, it was video, wasn't it? But it was an edited video, and I didn't like the edited version. I much prefer the full-length version, but still a little bit of a disappointment, this particular one. I think it was just an excuse to get the Daleks back, but nothing away from the magnificent cover. I mean, how gorgeous is that? And it's just the way he drew Daleks, or painted, I should say, the Daleks. They're just so good, aren't they? We've got Doomsday Weapon. Nice rendition of Roger Delgado there. Wasn't one of my favourite stories, but, you know, quite a distinctive colour. I love these early Target books with their colour schemes. They're just superb. Here we got the Demons. There we are. Nice to see these in, yeah, with the covers blown right up. Very, very nice. And of course, some of the stuff that exists still, because I don't think all of it has been tracked down, but what exists, like this one, for example, the Sea Devils, is in the hands of private collectors. I believe this one's owned by my friend Dale Santos out in the States. He's got a few Chris Achilleos originals, and this is one of them. And it's just, I mean, it's just beautiful. This is so, so good. What a great jacket this was. And you find it hard to believe that when they reprinted it, they put that one just of the Sea Devil on the front. It just didn't seem to make sense. And this is a true, an absolute work of art. It's just gorgeous. Ranks among my favourite ones of all, that by him. Here's the Abominable Snowmen. And once again, great likenesses. You've got the full figures of Jamie there, and is it Victoria? And yeah, it's great. Look at that. He got Troughton just right. That mood, didn't he? The eyes, the hair. I mean, really, really nice indeed. And this one also got re-released. And, you know, it was quite an easy one, I think, for them to shrink down, wasn't it? I mean, I think the original looks far greater than the re-released one. It seems to have lost a bit of its colour, doesn't it? Stephen Baxter, oh, well, that's got a few signatures, the same ones we've seen, but yeah, quite a nice one, that. And I don't know, the originals just, to me, just seem better. I'm just a purist, of course. So next we've got Curse of Peladon, another really great sort of montage of the key players in that particular story. And yeah, he's done such a great job. I mean, Pertwee just looks, it's almost like lifelike, isn't it? Very good. I mean, I'm guessing he used, you know, photographs as like reference, but that's taking nothing away. It's still a real skill to get that down on down on paper. Very, very nice. So next we got Doctor Who and the Cybermen. So another great one here, and another great rendition of Troughton, and I remember this one so well. And this has got another little trademark of Chris Achilleos, where he'll do a picture and then he'll add these little bits around the side, sort of like flares or just little flourishes, you could say, sometimes to liven the picture up a little bit. There's the re-release of it, which I'm glad they kept those on. In fact, on the re-release, they've cut the bottom off to get the introduction by Gareth Roberts in, haven't they? And once again, the later one looks a bit more washed out to this original one from the 1970s. You know, this was what, February 1975 was when that exact edition was published. And it looks far more vibrant even than the one that's taken there, doesn't it? I wonder, I don't know who owns the original artwork, so maybe they weren't able to scan it or something like that. Who can tell? I'm imagining they did have archives. Now, this is a great one, really. The Three Doctors was always an iconic story for me. And although I never watched it when it first went out, I was too young for that. You know, I saw it in the repeat, and you know, I prefer it more than the Five Doctors, shall we say? And it's great. Now, Achilleos in the book, he does freely admit because each book that we see here, any sort of memories, Chris does contribute what he can remember. And on this particular one, he does say the concept design was inspired by the great Jack Kirby, a cover he did for the Fantastic Four comic. And it's actually Fantastic Four number 49, I believe, which is the second appearance of the Silver Surfer. And Omega is actually Galactus, and Galactus has got his fingers over the various members of the Fantastic Four. But it was reused, the concept, in homage really to the great Jack King Kirby. And there's the re-release of it once again. The background, the really funky orange and yellow background, which I think is so good, is gone on this, and that looks a far less effective cover to me. So whoever did the designs on those, I'm afraid I'm not a massive fan of how they reused Chris's artwork there, personally speaking. But that's just me, you know, that's just me. I think that's just far greater effect. Now here we got the Loch Ness Monster, a great one there. I love Tom's scarf there going all the way down, and yeah, a great piece. Looks much better paperback form without the top bit there, you know, so I think it looks better in the paperback form. And not my favourite story, but it is what it is. Once again, they've taken a little bit of the element. I suppose if you look at these, it looks a bit like the end of a Looney Tunes, doesn't it? A Warner Brothers cartoon. But they've taken a little bit of that to highlight Tom's face there. But once again, I think the original is a better version of the cover. Simple as that, to me. Got an introduction by none other than Michael Moorcock, which is quite nice, isn't it? The top SF and fantasy writer. More fantasy than anything else. And here's the one which the book takes its name from, Kklak. That's the famous sound effect from the dinosaur invasion. Lovely to see this artwork in full reproduction there. I mean, you really see the detail in it, you know, the London skyline and the dinosaurs there, and Pertwee himself in that pose is just great. Absolutely great. Look at that. It's superb, isn't it? A lot of fond memories of reading the dinosaur invasion, and a lot of massive disappointments when I actually got to see it. The 10th Planet, another great one. What a great cover. Now, once again, they've this has got those, I wouldn't say trademark, but he has added those little flourishes, those little like a little fizz around the picture, the edges of the picture, which is one of his little trademarks. I think he did a good job on these. I think it works fantastically as a smaller jacket, better than it does perhaps as a bigger one. It did get re-released again, and just awful job really. They've lost that backdrop, so that lovely colour and the colour scheme has gone. It just doesn't look so good, in my opinion. Tom McRae, cyber author, did the intro to that one. Now we got the Ice Wires. This is all right. Doesn't feature the Doctor, of course, but it's still very, very nice indeed. And he's got the trademark by now fizzes around the Ice Warriors' hands. I think they're just fantastic and really, really intricate. You can see he's spent a long time on those. I think that's a really terrific jacket, and it looks even better when it's blown up. Now this one did also get re-released in 2012. There we are, with a new introduction by Mark Gatiss, and it's just lost, isn't it? The border's lost. It's just, to me, doesn't seem so good on the re-releases. I just prefer the originals. Nice to see them back, don't get me wrong, but even so, you know, I guess I'm more of a purist. Then we've got Revenge of the Cybermen, another season 12 one. Great Tom Baker there. Went to town on his hair, didn't he? Very, very nice. Then we got Revenge of the Cybermen. So, once again, what a great bit this is, isn't it? You know, absolutely amazing. There's the original. And what a great book as well. It's a Terrance Dicks classic from the Terry Nation story. One of the greats. And once again, the way he does, if you look at the little detail on Davros's chair there, where you see like the skirting is all a bit beaten up and that. Really, really good. I never really noticed that on the paperback. You know, it's there, but I didn't notice it until I saw it in this larger format here. And yeah, he got Michael Wisher superb, isn't he, as Davros there. Wow, wow, wow. One of his greats, I think, you'll agree. Now we got the Web of Fear. There we are, another nice one. Not so keen now, so there is a distinct change in style, where with the Doctors, it seems to me, he's slightly moved away slightly from the really exacting sort of the dot matrix style in effect, and he's gone for this more stylized, almost painted version, and I'm not so keen on that, in all honesty, but that's how they were. And whether this is at 76 now, whether he was just struggling to keep up with the work, possibly, I don't know. Same sort of thing here, where the Ogron is sort of in light detail, yet the Draconian is in much more, a bit more what you would expect detail, you know? For the space, really, really nice colour that. I really love the overall aesthetic of it. Superb. This is a great one, isn't it? This is Planet of the Daleks. I haven't got the greatest copy of this one, so we won't dwell on it, but there is that great original artwork. And you've got to say that is beautiful, isn't it? Really, really nice. Once again, we've got a little bit of the trademark fizzle around the outside that he uses. Even the Dalek firing there, it almost feels electric, doesn't it? And that's what he did so well. Pyramids of Mars. This is just great with Tom and Sarah there. Elizabeth Sladen looking rather glum. You have to say, look at those facial expressions. Very, very unusual for a book jacket to have such a almost like a negative connotation, but it was a great one. It was very scary when the Pyramids of Mars went out. If you were a certain age, I remember being quite scared by it. Absolutely fantastic. It was, and it still holds up very, very well. Watched that one recently. Loved it. Carnival of Monsters. Back to, if you ask me, back to their old form. So look at this, the detail on the on the monster there. Pertwee himself is just phenomenal, and this is a case where seeing the artwork without the yellow background, it actually makes it look, I think, even better. Really, really fantastic. The detail on Pertwee there is just insane. That is classic Achilleos, that, if you ask me. As is this, really, Seeds of Doom. Another great one. Look at the detail on that. The house, the crinoid, full figures of Tom and Liz Sladen there. The Harrier jet. I mean, wow, wow, wow. And when you see it in that format as well, that's really, really something, isn't it? Absolutely incredible piece of artwork, that. Now, another probably one of my favourites, even though there's no Doctor on it at all. The Dalek Invasion of Earth has all those key elements, doesn't it? The classic story, brilliant backdrop. Once again, you get Big Ben in the background there, and the Houses of Parliament. The Dalek ship, or ships. Another classic Achilleos Dalek and the Roboman. Fantastic in every respect. And when you add the logo on as well, it's an absolute winner. That is just Doctor Who perfection. Now we've got Claws of Axos. Now, once again, you could almost say although this was released in 77, it feels like an earlier one. I know it's an earlier Pertwee story. What's it, 1973, this particular one, but it captures it. Nice little picture of Pertwee there. It's sort of in vignette style there. But once again, this is one of those ones that benefits when you see it sort of blown up in full size. Yeah, it's good. A really good representation of that particular episode. Now we got another favourite of mine, which once again I loved when it first went out, Ark in Space. I think season 12 in total is just a great season of Doctor Who. But he did well on this. But now the Tom Baker is that painted style rather than the highly intricate sort of dot matrix style, which I think is sort of used on the tendrils here, where it's a lot more detailed than perhaps Tom's head. But, you know, it may have been a time thing, possibly, who knows. But this one did get re-released again. And once again, it seems slightly lighter, not as vibrant on the re-released one. Introduction by Stephen Moffat. And that was in 1977. Now, there was a few other bits and pieces that he did, sort of, which weren't part of the Target range, or they're published by Target, but they were like, you know, one-offs, as it were. So we had the Doctor Who monster book, which was this one here. Now, I remember having this as a kid and literally couldn't believe how good it was, simply because of the back cover. Just look at that. And it had all those great jackets on it. I just loved it. And even though it used elements of the Target books inside, like, you know, there we are, some of the artwork from the book covers and that, so it was reused, some of it. The main highlight was that you got that great cover in a poster form, which we'll just have a look at in a minute. But this is a nice little, but it's not difficult to get hold of or anything. It's fairly easy. But you see, they do use quite a bit of Chris's artwork, albeit in black and white. But yeah, you see, you got the cover, the front cover there, which is a montage of his work in this one here inside. So if you ever buy it, do make sure the poster is intact, because it is often missing. So I think a complete one like this might set you back about £15 or so, but it's well worth it, as you can see. So yeah, that's the old Doctor Who monster book. This is The Amazing World of Doctor Who, which was a hardback annual produced to tie into the Taifu Tea promotion. This is the making of Doctor Who. I didn't actually bring my copy of this one down, but you know, it's just the straightforward Tom Baker on the front cover. Now, this is the second Doctor Who monster book. So this was smaller format, still bigger than, say, a traditional Target book. So it was more like an A5, as it were. And it's basically a re-release of the first one, but more updated. Once again, they do use some of Tom's art. The best bit, the books on the back are not there, which is a shame. But they do use some of Chris's artwork. It was penned by Terence Dix. It was a big seller, this. See, like that. They use that spread from Pyramids of Mars, which is just so good. Those somber faces. Amazing, that cover. It really is. It really is great. Not sure if any more is actually used inside the pages here. It's more like a little celebration of the year more than anything. But a great little book and a fantastic montage cover again, which we love. And of course, then he went on. This was done for the DWAS, the Doctor Appreciation Society, for their anniversary. I remember this one. I haven't actually got a copy of this anymore, but this was a complete wraparound, and look at that. And this is the first time we see him depict Peter Davison. Absolutely fantastic. What a great jacket that was. Let's try and track one of those down. It's a large format magazine, and it's a really good one, a good little celebration. Then they did some sketch cards. I think those were just handed out randomly. They were inserted into packets. And then we got the re-releases here. So these later ones here for the reprints were done in 2016. So it's the tail end of Chris's career, really. And I don't think, although he tries to recapture the original glory, I don't think he quite gets it. I've only got the one of these, which is Vengeance on Varos, and I think you'll agree, you know, Syl's all right, but you know, the rest of it is not up to the classic Achilleos standard. They're still good, don't get me wrong, and some are better than others, but I don't think that Vengeance on Varos one was particularly good. But they are nice all the same. I think that is fantastic. Thank you, the re-release, because if you remember the original cover to Keys of Marinus was just the TARDIS on the front. It was pretty boring compared to these re-releases. The same with the Aztecs. I mean, these are really great, aren't they? And that, well, how could you improve on what I think was one of his better original ones? And well, you got Dalek Invasion of Earth. Superb, and the Daleks in the front there are just great, aren't they? They are magic. Nice cover to Evil of the Daleks as well. So some of this was coloured in or painted in, others has just been left. So I don't know what the reasoning was behind that. Tomb of the Cybermen. Great cover to the Invasion, which once again was a massive improvement on the original Target release. Same with Inferno. Of course, it was Peter Brooks who did the original one to the Green Death, which I really like, the sort of comic strip style to it. I really like that one, but this was Chris's take, and I think the Brigadier is particularly good on that one. Brain of Morbius. And then bang up to date with the later series. This is the cover to Rose. This is one he did for SFX magazine. They were he was commissioned to do these. It's a very young David Tennant. Super nice artwork, those. You see, these are really good, And then I believe these might be available through a website. I'm not 100% sure, but some of his better stuff there has been popped onto mugs. There's a range of mugs there. And then I think this is his daughter and his wife. And then these are people who knew Chris and worked with him on various projects. Gary Russell there. Very, very good. It's a nice, well-rounded, well-illustrated book. And if you've got something like the Telos Doctor Who The Target book as part of your library, you're definitely going to want to add Kklak to it. Now, you remember at the start I said that I tried to get this one, I believe it was in hardback when it first got printed. One of the reasons why is because I just like them in a more permanent form. But I've been through this particular book maybe 4 times now, and it just doesn't sit flat. And there's like a slight ripple. It's like a ripple, and it's just the way. I mean, it's really well printed. It's on really nice, heavy stock paper. So I'm not complaining about the quality of the book. It just doesn't seem to lie flat after you've read it for a few times. So once you have read it, do make sure you sandwich this one next to your Doctor Who The Target book, and then maybe a few Doctor Who annuals to keep it nice and flat. But don't take anything away from what is, I think, an absolutely superb book. And if you are a Doctor Who fan and you collect the Doctor Who Target books, this is a perfect companion to those particular paperbacks. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that little look through Kklak, the Doctor Who artwork of Chris Achilleos. I think it's fantastic and a great book. If you're interested in buying one yourself, there's links to buying them from Amazon down below, and also the publisher's website as well, where I believe you can buy them direct from them. Thank you very much for watching today. If you've enjoyed this Doctor Who content, there's lots more planned. Do please hit the subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage Doctor Who content, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.